Come things invest. We're talking about investing, finance, and professionalism for today's systems only. The investment I'm going to talk today will be Ethereum TKTH. First, I want to say happy Monday, everybody. Have a great weekend, by the way. Respect to recording time of 9:20 a.m. on Eastern Time. Ethereum current trading at $4,131, up about 1.22% so far. Respect to overall crypto market and the equity market seems like it's relatively bullish on this Monday morning on the East Coast. With respect to Ethereum right now, it's up about 1.18%, while Bitcoin is up about 3.36% right now. Dogecoin is separating from the Shiba Inu affectation that we saw during this weekend. A Shiba Inu was up about 27% at one point, testing the all-time high, while Dogecoin is separating right now, down about 5% respectively. Cardano is still, having that lag effect, trading us on a sideways fashion, up about 0.97%, while Solana is retesting or reattempting to try to test that $215 mark as an all-time high, while XRP is doing the same thing as Cardano, trading on a sideways fashion. Basically hovering around the $1.10 mark between the level 101 and the 110. While Algorand is up about 5% right now, and polkadot's kind of hovering on a sideways fashion, still sustaining by public investors at 2.35% so far. On the equity side, seems like on the futures, seems like we're still leaping away, right, with respect to S&P 500 and also the Dow Jones Index. All green ahead of the market opens, which is going to be happening in basically 9 minutes from now. And various of there are a lot of sector rotation that's also going on that is very logical. We see this quite often, especially in the Q4 timeframe, more prominently in the high growth and the large cap tech stocks, which you see that Tesla earlier today we tested $950, which is technically the 52 weeks all time high. So congratulations to all the ones that hold Tesla as long-term investors or bought the dip when we were crashing down during the bottom when we hit that $532 mark, right? So congratulations, we're up quite a lot right now. And also we see some prominent activities around other high growth and technologies as well, more prominently in the EV sectors as well. So that's also some sector rotation activity that's going on. It's a lot of like the EV and the crypto rotations among hedge fund communities right now. So with respect to the news front on Ethereum specifically, Cointelegraph about 3 hours ago talked about Ethereum eyes a rally against Bitcoin with Ether price showing hidden bullish divergence. So with respect to the affectation that they're talking about, is basically saying that Ethereum is basically separating from Bitcoin in terms of momentum perspective. We saw that Ethereum was actually down early today, despite Bitcoin's up about like 2.5% at one point. Seems like with respect to they're trading kind of separately, so Bitcoin seems like it's still sustaining the rally, while Ethereum just kind of doing its own thing right now. So we have to dive into the technical front, which we will do in a bit to depict what they're really talking about, right? The article on Cointelegraph is really just talking about that they're separating, and it seems like Bitcoin is a little bit more leaning towards the bearish side in comparisons to Ethereum, which we have to verify, is that really true, as we go through the momentum analysis in a bit. The next one's on Bazinga about 12 hours ago, talk about Dogecoin's get Elon Musk boost. Shiba Inu remains green despite setback. And then Bitcoin and Ethereum stopped to catch a breath. So this is basically talk about with respect to this weekend, right? And this seems like it's old news already. And we are seeing some green pressure across the market right now with some positive news that's depicting the bullish divergence that we are seeing in specifically on Ethereum and Bitcoin. So we'll dive into the technicals in a bit again. So Cointelegraph at 16 hours ago talked about reactivated Ethereum pool triggers a 78% surge in Thorchain price. So it seems like there's a lot more affectation among the smaller coins, if you may, being triggered by the pseudo affectation from Ethereum. So more type of drag effect among the pseudo or the subsectors of the ecosystem, if you may. So that's interesting news, but does that really have anything to do with Ethereum specifically? I think it's some correlations, but it's more of an adjacent side of the world. And then the next one is talking about with respect to Bazinga. Here's what to expect from Ethereum Altair upgrade taking place this week. So this is some anticipated pressure that we should be expecting going forward with this new technological upgrade in an infrastructural perspective. So we might technically see some sort of anticipatory pressure comparable to the London fork debut that we've seen, with respect to the upgrade from the 1.0 to 2.0. So it's something we have to watch to see if there's any bullish momentum despite us being extremely overbought at the moment. So that's something we have to watch out for. The next one's on Decrypt 17 hours ago. Talk about Fidelza. I think that's how you say it. Artist. So it's an artist named Fidelza. Sells 7 million worth of Ethereum NFTs buyers haven't seen yet. So it seems like someone in the artistic community is selling arts cultivated by NFTs, obviously from the Ethereum value proposition, without disclosing or even showing how the art piece looks like yet. So that's a really interesting news. I am not sure why that is the case, right? Because like when you want to invest in an art piece, despite if it's a really reputable artist, you want to take a look at what the artwork looks like first before you even buy it, right? Especially for a cost of $7 million worth. So seems interesting, but I don't quite get it. I'm not a appraiser for art pieces, nor am I an art investor. So interesting news again, more trivial, but like that's quite crazy, I would say. And then that's pretty much it on the news front. We will hear more news as the day goes on. It's still Monday morning. It's at 9:30 a.m. right now. So respect to Ethereum right now, we are still at the overbought level. We're still forming that well back despite the kind of curvature that we're seeing on the well back. We're basically struggling to stay above the 4,000 mark, which is very fair because that's a relatively substantive level. We opened at the 4,081 today, and we up about basically $100 so far. So still maintained by public investors, but ultimately, we have seen the surge for quite prominently ever since when we were at 2,730. And we searched that as we formed that golden cross. We leaped up all the way, and which is the reason why we have that one big green candle, which is bought by the whales, and then subsequently a bunch of small investors chasing into the market with a lot of the media affectation, right? So right now with the 66 out of 70, we need to cool down a little bit, right? I was asked by a couple of my friends here on YouTube, should we be buying now, right? I think, because of the risk management, level is relatively high right now. It's not the logical move for you to be incurring risk right now when both technicals are telling you that we are trading on a relatively of a premium at the moment. They're a better price for us to get there, shortly, right? Especially, as we, cool down because we need to, right? We've seen this like consecutively historically as well, that you need to cool back down on the technical front before you recuperate and then also incentivize the monetary circulations to come back in. So ideally, as we break below the 4,000, which is very logical, we need to because you can't just go up in one shot, right? Which technically we have been. We need to cool down, and I think ideally 3,150 would be a very logical level to buy at. Bitcoin right now is forming a relatively interesting chart, right? We formed that death cross, but we're being sustained by positive news, and this is mainly driven by public investors. But right now, that we're basically hovering in air right now, and we have leaped up one shot so far. So this is very dangerous, especially on the fact that we are at the 67 out of 70. So risk is not in your favor at the moment, so I would definitely wait until we cool back down on the RSI scale below 35 first. And I think as we cool down, I think ideally testing the 52, ideally testing the 48 first would be more logical. This is just a more of a risk-averse approach in terms of investing. Right now, the setup is not in your favor. Right, Dogecoin right now is selling off, separating from Shiba Inu despite the surge. Right, the surge is mainly driven by the drag effects. Right, and right now it's down about 5% right now. We are basically testing the comparable level that we've had in consolidation on the top part of the echelon, right? So right now we need to cool down, and right now it's still at the 60 out of 70. So ideally coming back down to, again, right, the 21 to 20 would be a much better level. Cardano is still hovering on a sideways fashion. Ideally buy it at 205 or 208 would be a much better level to dollar cost average. Again, Cardano is a relatively bullish setup because we are forming like a kind of like a downward wedge, which indicates that there's a surge that is going to be imminently coming. Solana is up about 9% so far. It seems like we broke above the 200. That's why we, leaping up. We basically try to retest the 215 or 216. Right, and the reason is because we have formed that golden cross. But as we form that apex, which we have to verify, when is that apex gonna hit? Especially we have the 75 out of 70 right now. So risk is very high. So ideally, cooling back down to the 130 to 113 would be much more logical level. Despite how bullish it is right now, this is not a good setup because this is mainly driven by public investors based on the volume that we're seeing right now. XRP, we are at the 109. So I think ideally coming back down to 101 or somewhere around like the 105 at bare minimum would be very logical. And then 50 out of 70 right now on our RSI scale, we need to kind of recuperate a little bit. And I think as we cool down a little bit more to the 105 at bare minimum or 101, that will be a relatively good dip for you to buy at. Polkadot right now is forming a relatively, outlier. We have a huge while back, so that means that the sell-up is quite imminent. We're at the 64 out of 70 right now. So ideally coming back down to 36 or 30-ish around that level bare minimum to 25 would be very logical for you to dollar cost average at and more of a risk averse perspective again. Algorand's very dragged up. We are at the 60 out of 70 right now. So ideally, we are basically attempting to break the $2 mark, but we couldn't. We see that we test the 198, basically a couple cents away. But this is not sustainable. We have to really have an extra it factor for us to push above. But as we get there, there isn't really anything that that's whole substance, right? So I think ideally by the 160 and the 150 would be better frame of reference. Shiba Inu is still surging up. You can see that we test that crazy all-time high at the 4508 level. We basically tried to get there again. But there is no ground above it, right? So this is basically rocket ship in full mode of concentration. So I think ideally, at the same time, we're 75 out of 70 right now. So it means we overbought an all level despite the golden cross. So we might retest or try to get there, but you could see that we got canceled out twice, right? So that means like we got some favorability, but then there's less favorability. And then, the favorability is only going to diminish going forward, right? Because investors have been testing the water quite a bit, but it never got there. So as we form that, we should technically see an apex soon. We might have a lost little surge here and there, then sell back down because we are still overbought in all levels. So with respect to the risk management levels, as we deplete back to the 35 on an RSI scale, and as we form that preliminary golden cross on these respective coins, these are the more ideal level, right? Again, these are my risk aversion levels, right? It's only for my personal risk tolerance. I'm more of a conservative investor. I don't like to chase. I like to invest when it's more, calm and collected. When the risk is at a lower pace in comparisons to the current status that we are seeing across the whole crypto market, right? So hopefully this is helpful. Really appreciate you for dropping by again. I will keep you guys updated with respect to other news that's coming out later today. Hopefully there isn't anything majorly negative or majorly positive because it's important that we stay within the frame of reference. And the last thing I want you guys to do is to use emotions to execute your price level. But ultimately, if that's really the case and you use emotions to incur risk, just hold long term because ultimately we're going to get to much higher levels from here, right? So really appreciate you for dropping by and stay tuned for us to come up. Take care. Bye.